Hello, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classics slash Non-Classics. This is episode 169 and Doubleshot number 104. This one is a real treat, okay? Because we're having two trades that are technically not published by either Marvel or DC, but they do contain issues that were originally printed by Marvel Comics back in 1982 to like around 1984. First up, it's Classic G.I. Joe, Volume 1, collecting the first 10 issues of the series and written by Larry Hama. This is the start of his long, epic run for the series, and it's still published this very day, despite the fact originally in 1994 it was brought back a few years ago by IDW. However, this is the original series that started out. Basically, the first issue of this book basically has debut of some more familiar Joes like General Hawk, General Flag. Yes, General Flag does show up in this book. You also have the debut of Snake Eyes and a few other characters like Stalker and Rock and Roll. Minor Joes, but stuff like that. Plus, you also had a debut of the October Guard and Kawan and the Eskimo. That's simply the other people that are in the book. Plus, you had the debut of only 3 members of Cobra at this point. Familiar faces, anyways. Cobra Commander, obviously, the Baroness, and 2 others who get killed off later on, Scarface and Dr. Venom. Basically, the first issue is bringing the Joes together to take on Cobra, who would kidnap a scientist who was going to testify at a Congress committee meeting. A Congress committee session. Congress committee session. I mean, they save her. They destroy a Cobra base operations. It's not the main one, but it's really dang good. It takes a while to get through the first issue because there's tons of dialogue. But I can't fault that. I can't fault the book for that. This book came out back in the 80s, where something dialogue heavy was usual. But basically, I mean, it starts off, first 9 issues are kind of like standalone issues, and then issue 10 kind of starts off the first arc for the series, first continuous story. That goes, even though that the whole fight between G.I. Joe and Cobra is basically the main theme of the series, but the main official continuous story begins issue 10, which had to return the Eskimo character and I think Dr. Venom and Snake Eyes basically wander around the jungle. This is really damn good. If you're a fan of G.I. Joe and never read the comic before, start with this. I mean, you can definitely start with IDW because they have their own continuity when it comes to G.I. Joe. This is the original Marvel continuity. I definitely recommend this. I get this book a 9 out of 10. Next up, it's G.I. Joe, Classic G.I. Joe, Volume 2, collecting issues 11 and 20 of the G.I. Joe Real American Hero series. This book has the debut of characters Gung Ho, Wild Bill, Snowjob, CoverGirl, and Destro, and Major Blood shows up in here too. Yes. Now, Destro shows up in the first issue, Major Blood shows up a few issues later, and of course you also have the apparent death of the Baroness in here, but she does survive. But in issue 19, the pendulum issue of this trade, you have 4 deaths in the same issue. Major Blood kills General Flag. Basically, if you read his profile, that's one of his most that's one thing he's known for doing. Plus, you also have the death of the Eskimo. Plus the deaths of 2 very minor Cobra characters, Scarface and Dr. Venom. Plus, that story gets wrapped up. The whole Lost on Jungle thing, it gets wrapped up with issue 15. Still awesome, like the first trade. Larry Hama does a fantastic job with this book. That's pretty much it. And in case you're wondering, there is no Storm Shadow. None of the other familiar Cobras show up yet. They will show up soon. But the only really major one that shows up in here is Major Blood and Destro. As for if you're wondering where the heck is Duke, he has not shown up in this series. It takes him a while to show up in this series. And like the first trade, this one's awesome. I also get this one a 9 out of 10. I definitely recommend it. Alright? That's it. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will be my 170th episode for the series and my 105th Doubleshot. Okay? See you there. Bye.